Welcome, welcome, welcome to On Friday Inspire. I'm your host, Aleigha, the Purpose Midwife. I want to thank y'all so much for joining us this beautiful, beautiful Tuesday. You could have been anywhere else doing anything else, but you chose to spend it with us. And for that, we are totally grateful. We don't take it for granted, not one bit. Now, I want y'all to do me a favor. I want y'all to hit that share button or tag a friend, tag some couples, because we're going to talk about emotional health. This is Mental Health Awareness Month that we'll be wrapping up in the next couple of days, but it's also Date Your Mate Month. So we've been having some great conversations, some great guests, and interviews. And so we're going to wrap up the month with another great couple. But before we jump in, I want to thank our sponsors. All right. I want to thank um, Mom Biz Boss, multiple operational managers. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your many years of support. Y'all, we are 11 years in, and um, uh, Mom Biz Boss has been a sponsor for many years. I can't even remember the number yet. But thank you again, Mom Biz Boss. If you are a mom, multiple operational manager, and you are an entrepreneur or inspiring entrepreneur, you want to connect with these ladies. They have awesome, awesome meetings, meetups, virtual sessions. I missed the one tonight, but awesome, awesome connections, awesome speakers. So check with them, connect with them. That's Mom Biz Boss, B-I-Z, Boss, BOSS.org. And then also, if you do not have a copy of any of my books, you can get them at my link tree slash on fire to inspire. The on fire to inspire.com site needs to be updated. So you can get it off of there, but it's not up to date. Um, let's see, the bridge services, you want to connect with them, I'll post their information in as well. Taking care of your education, excuse me, your medical educational needs, hospitalization, visits after hospitalization. I tell you, she has been in nursing and in the medical field for close to 3 decades, and she will take great, great care of you. I will put the bridge services in here shortly. Let's see here. I think that's everybody. Also, I want you all to place your save the date. I know we early, but you got to get on people's calendar, right? So save the date. I will be hosting my fifth annual women's conference entitled Healthy, Healed, and Whole. And so we will be doing that here in Gaffney, South Carolina on October the 24th. Mark your calendar, set the date, set your calendars, mark it, share with some friends because we're going to be having some awesome speakers as usual. We'll have our wellness coach. We will have our movement, line dance, and certified Zumba coach. We will have our prophetic poet coming in from Atlanta. We will have Mom Biz Boss coming in from Atlanta. Yeah, a little bit of everything. I will be doing some breath work and self-care sessions as well. We'll have lunch. The way we do it, y'all, and just doing even more and thanking God for the more, right? And so if you have not spent any time with us in the past, go ahead and mark your calendar for October the 24th. We will be having an awesome, awesome time. Well, without further ado, y'all, again, hit your share button, tag some friends, tag some family, because we're about to get started. I want to introduce you to my look. I'm not gonna say my friends. They are family. We have known each other since our kids were babies, and our kids are grown and on their own. Okay, welcome, Mr. Terence and Miss Keynia Hardley. Welcome, welcome, welcome on Friday.
Hey. Thank you for having us. Good, good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. Thank you. Thank you for so much both for coming.
Thank
So
you.
my first question with all my guests is I want you to introduce yourself because I don't like reading bios because you lose people. But when you share who you are, there's something that you exude that people are like, and they stay with us. But just reading, people are like, okay, let me click to the next thing.
Okay. Well, I'm Terence Hardley,
And of course, I'm Keynia Hardley.
and we've been married. It'll be 27 years in July.
Yes.
And we have 6 children,
Yes.
Ranging in age from 13 through 20, almost 26.
Yes. Yes.
And so we have a busy house.
We have 2 grandbabies too.
I was just getting ready to get to that.
I'm
We have
sorry.
2 grandbabies, a granddaughter and a grandson that we're so over the moon about.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah.
Yeah, we're therapists as well.
That too, that
Yeah,
part.
we own a practice here in Covington, and it's called ATK Marriage and Family Coaching, and we love the work that we do every day. Let us know what else you want to know.
Yeah.
Now, the topic, emotional health and healthy relationships. I always ask, what does the topic mean to you? What does that topic mean to you all as relationship coaches?
Yes, yes. So for me, emotional health and healthy relationships, it really encompasses the body of work that we do every day, trying to help people work and sort through their emotional concerns and issues. And so it again, it just embodies the work that we do, where people are struggling with stress and anxiety and hurt and rejection, all kinds of things, and trauma, and just don't know what to do with themselves, emotionally, are losing it at times, and what they say, crashing out, and are just having a hard time being able to regulate their emotions to be able to function in healthy relationships. So that is what it means to me to be able to speak to that part of our system where we're mind, body, and spirit. And that is happening in the body. That's the soul part, and being able to kind of regulate and learn how to regulate ourselves.
Mhm. I just want to add just a little bit to the emotional health part. Is everything that you said, and is the things that we do daily when we're, in front of clients and things of that nature. But, in order to have emotional health, you need to have emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And emotional intelligence is a term that's been tossed around a lot, but it's basically, there's 4 basic core tenets of emotional intelligence. First is self-awareness,
Mm-hmm.
right? So self-awareness, you're aware of your emotions, you're aware of your triggers, right? The second one is self-management. Now that you're able to recognize and identify your emotions and triggers, self-management is now you can regulate yourself and manage those emotions and triggers. The third quadrant is social awareness. You're able to identify and recognize your emotions and triggers. You're able to manage them. Now you're able to look at and read the room, so to speak,
Right.
other people's emotions and triggers.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one is social management.
Mm.
Now that you've done all that, you're in front of someone and they're being triggered, or you see some things that are emotional, that you're able not only to read the room, but you're able to adjust to their emotional outbreak or whatever that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So those are just the 4. There's a couple of more, but those are the 4 basic tenets or core quadrants of emotional intelligence, and what that has to do with being emotionally healthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I am sharing y'all in all the groups I'm parts of and all of this. Making sure I'm tagging and sharing as well. I don't tell people to do what I ain't gonna do.
Right.
So as far as we're talking about emotional intelligence and all of this stuff, what is, when we think of a relationship, what's a healthy relationship?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's very loaded, because people, it's subjective, right? Because some people may think they're in a healthy relationship when they are being micromanaged, and when they are being controlled, and when they are being kind of checked up on as if someone is not trusting them. They may think that actually is healthy. I know there was a time in my life where, because of my own trauma, I was involved in an unhealthy relationship thinking that it was healthy. And it took a while for me to realize that I was in the relationship because of some unhealed areas in my life. So a healthy relationship can be a little bit subjective, but we can at least kind of speak to what some of the tenets are. There, of course, honesty, there's transparency, there is vulnerability, there is accountability, there is intimacy, not just sexual intimacy, but relatable and related intimacy, where I get to really be a part of your life and your world, and you're not hiding or refraining from allowing me in that space. So there's closeness and union and all of that. And it just looks like there is a willingness to show up for each other and a willingness to really know each other. So healthy relationships is not about control. Healthy relationships are not about being perfect. It is about trying and making efforts to show up and hear each other and validate each other's experiences, even if it's not something you agree with.
Mm-hmm. If I can add on to that, I'm going to say something a little controversial now. An emotionally healthy relationship is not necessarily men lead, women follow.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that cut and dry. Emotionally healthy relationships is when both partners make each other or create an environment so that both partners can be emotionally safe.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to provide physical safety, right? But then there's a whole nother level to provide emotional safety, where my wife can tell me anything she wants to tell me with, respect and rightness, tone, mannerisms, posture. And then I do the same.
Mm-hmm.
I can't bark orders at her and expect her to submit and obey. So, yeah.
Those are bad words.
Yeah.
Submit and obey.
Yeah.
So,
but it's right.
Absolutely.
It's right to submit.
It is.
But you have to understand who you are submitting to and what you are submitting to.
Absolutely.
Right. And so if you create an environment and an atmosphere of emotional safety, then I feel safe to tell you, what's on my heart, and not just be honest,
right,
but go to another level and be transparent.
Right. Which is asking or sharing it before I even ask.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We have all kinds of directions we can go with all of that, but
we're going to go on flow with how y'all feeling led to go.
Yeah. So emotional intelligence also involves your own self-awareness of your own patterns. And what I mean by that, there are attachment patterns or attachment fears that most of us have developed over the courses of our lives, whereas there are secure attachments. Those are environments where our meaningful others on the early parts of our lives were very accessible to us. They were responsive and they were engaged, which gave us this feeling of safety and security, right? But when those individuals are not, it creates a space where we feel a bit insecure. And what comes out of insecure attachments are anxious attachment styles, avoidant attachment styles, and then a mixture of the two, anxious avoidant attachment styles. And so being able to recognize which attachment style you tend to fall under or fall into is really important, to be able to know that if I call you and you don't respond to me, I feel anxious because, like, where are you? You're supposed to be around. What's going on? And if you respond to me, and now all of a sudden I shut down and I start avoiding you because now my feelings are hurt. I haven't communicated what that missed moment or that missed connection was, and so now my feelings are hurt. And instead of responding to him with truth and clarity, I now avoid. I shut down to protect myself. That is a pattern that some of us actually get into. I want to share something really quickly. Go ahead.
Before you do, just to further piggyback off of what you're saying, babe, is that, the attachment theory or the attachment lens, however you want to look at it or call it, is something that happens to you when you're a child.
Yeah.
And then when you become an adult, it manifests and shows itself in your adult romantic relationships. And so a lot of people, when they're in marriages or in just, a relationship, and they're arguing about something or there's a disagreement, it's not necessarily about the thing that they're disagreeing about, or it's not necessarily about the argument,
Right.
but it's about what it means
Yeah.
for them to be in that disagreement.
Yeah.
And that meaning can go way back to when you were a little child,
Yes.
and your mom told you no, or your
Right.
dad wasn't there emotionally available for you. And so it's all those feelings and emotions that, as men, I'll speak for men, that we bury and that we tuck in and say that we're okay and we're good, but we're not good, because there are some issues and things that happened to us as a child that we were not able to repair or reconcile. And now it's showing up in our marriage.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the one thing about marriage or relationships, I think God does this so beautifully, but the one thing about it is that whatever our dysfunction is, or the deficit that we had growing up, when we get into a relationship, your spouse or your partner is going to highlight those things. And it's not an indication of that you're flawed or you're a bad partner, you're a bad spouse. What it's saying is, this is an alarm. It's telling you that, hey, you got some work to do.
Yeah, you haven't arrived.
You haven't arrived. You're not perfect. So now it's time to roll up your sleeves. And that's the work that we need to do as individuals, so that we can come together and be able to relate better.
Yeah,
absolutely. That makes sense.
Absolutely. I love that. And that is the work. And, you know, people say, well, it's a lot of work. That's work. Every day, showing up.
Every day.
Prepared to be present, be fully engaged, be validating, and hearing each other and being flexible is work, because sometimes you don't feel like it. Sometimes you're not in the mood for it, you know?
And the common denominator to all of that is communication.
Yeah.
You know, some couples think that they are communicating, but you have to over communicate, especially in the beginning, so that there is an understanding of each other, because I'm different than my wife.
Of course.
My wife is totally different from me.
Yeah.
And we look at differences as, you know, if we're so different, then we're not going to be able to relate to each other. But the differences is what make a relationship beautiful. Because now I get the opportunity, like, okay, you're different. I don't understand that, but help me understand.
Help me understand it. Absolutely.
And vice versa. And when you help each other understand those differences, then you can conquer anything together.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Now, I was just going to give another example of just being that emotionally intelligent. For example, we've been in a good season of connection where we've been showing up for each other in loving ways and being able to really interpret each other's actions and the intentions of each other's actions in positive ways that make us want to maintain connection. Because when things are good, you want to keep getting that good experience, and you do feel like you can conquer the world when things are good. But when it gets bad, that's when when it gets off, that's when other things began to come into play. So it's been feeling good and doing us some really good. But there was a recent rupture that caused a disconnection between us, and it reactivated our attachment fears, the things that I was speaking of earlier about attachment. When my attachment fears get activated or they come online, I tend to feel some level of anxiety, because my attachment style is anxious avoidant. I'm a mixture. So when my attachment fears come online, I tend to feel some level of anxiety. And in the moment where I might get frustrated and I might interpret how he's acting as emotionally threatening to me, not that he's physically harming me, but emotionally threatening, that's how it feels, then that causes me to shut down and avoid him, right? And so then I retreat to a place where I feel safe, because in that moment, he is not feeling safe to me. This man of 27 years almost of marriage, how can he not feel safe? How could this be a moment where I wouldn't feel safe emotionally? But that happens. It happens over and over again, not as often, but there's still things that can trigger and reactivate those attachment fears and create a space where you are responding in ways that you thought you were done with, or ways that are just not healthy for your relationship.
Let's speak to that avoidance thing, because that was something that I used to do when I was younger. Um, what is there like a thing that stems that causes the avoidance? Is that like something that came from, could have been coming from childhood, or could have been coming from an unhealthy environment?
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. So I want to get to the avoidant thing, but let me show you how the anxious and the avoidant kind of plays with each other,
Mm-hmm.
because for many couples that I see that dynamic. One partner is anxious attached, the other partner is avoidant attached.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're anxious attached, it's possible that when you were a child, when you were being raised, when you were being, um, when you were growing up, your parents or your gatekeepers, whoever had responsibility over you, um, they might have dismissed what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
You were trying to express yourself and they were being dismissive. Oh, you're a child, you don't know no better.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would make you kind of retreat. Or, if something were to happen, if your parents had to, something was going on with your parents and they had to leave you with a relative
Mm.
for a week or two, or maybe even a month, and you're young, you really don't understand what's going on, but your parents left you with someone responsible, but you don't see it as your parents leaving you with somebody responsible.
Mm-hmm.
You see it as a child as your parents left you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so now you're anxious. Like, when are they coming back? When are they coming to get me? Are they coming to get me? I don't know. I'm scared. I'm nervous now.
Right. Right.
And so the way that shows up in an adult relationship is, say, for example, I go and hang out, or we get into a disagreement,
Mm-hmm.
and I say, well, I'm going to leave.
Right.
And I get in my car and I go somewhere.
Or you don't even say you leave.
Or I don't even say I'm leaving. I go somewhere. And then now she's anxious. She's like, okay, is he going to come back?
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to leave me like my parents left me when I was 8 years old?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how that works. Now, the avoidant is an example of that as a child, is if you had an emotionally unavailable parent,
Mm-hmm.
and there was no love shown. There was no, I'm proud of you, son or daughter. There's no, just embracing, physical
Mm-hmm.
embrace and things. There was no a lot of closeness.
Mm-hmm.
So if, as a child, you see this, and you kind of tend to isolate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so you tend to be by yourself. You play with yourself. You deal with yourself.
Play alone.
You play, you play alone. You don't necessarily have to have friends, because they're going to leave anyway. So I'm going to be all right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good by myself. I don't need, all of that. And so how that shows up in an adult relationship is, if, my wife is saying something that I don't want to hear, or she's saying something that causes me to look at myself, I'm going to separate myself,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what I used to do
Mm-hmm.
when I was little. And that's what I know.
Mm-hmm.
I saw my parents, separate themselves. I saw my parents not, show me affection or talk to me and communicate affection to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not going to show affection, and I'm going to separate myself. I'm going to avoid it. I'm going to shut down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to stonewall. You're going to ask me if I'm okay. I'm not even going to respond. And if I do respond, I'm going to say I'm good,
Mm-hmm.
with a blank face,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what that avoided attachment looks like.
Yeah, oftentimes.
Mhm.
Sure.
Okay. Now let's talk about another one, because I've seen a lot of this lately. Um, Trauma bonding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another popular term, and it has a lot of truth to it, in the sense that two people connecting to one another emotionally over some shared experiences that were not healthy at all anyway. So, they found each other and somehow found some commonality, but it was unhealthy bonding, because my trauma is unresolved, and so is this partner that I reached out to connect with, that they're unresolved. their issues are unresolved too. And something about what they're saying and something about what I'm saying to them feels good, feels like home, feels real comfortable, and feels very familiar to, the experiences that they've had. And so it seems good that we need to be together. It seems like that makes sense for us to ride off into the sunset and be together, when in actuality, there are some unresolved issues that need to be resolved individually before we decide whether this relationship is viable. Because if I'm bonding on some stuff that's unresolved in me, when I do get healed, you're going to look different to me.
Right.
We're not going to be on the same page. Or when you get healed, I'm going to look different to you, and we're not going to be on the same page.
Absolutely. It's like you're in a relationship. That relationship doesn't work. 2 months later, you're in another relationship, but you haven't healed from that relationship. And now you're in another relationship, and the person that you're in a relationship with, they just got out of a relationship 2 months ago as well. And so now your trauma and his trauma are bonding together. and because you guys don't want to be alone, now you're in a whole nother relationship, and you the same thing you saw in your old mate, you see it now in your new mate, because you have not healed.
Yep. Same situation, different face.
I used to do a lot of, not necessarily mentoring, but going and doing inspiration and empowerment at domestic violence locations, people who didn't have a voice, just go encourage those women. And what I did learn was there were so many of them that had so much unresolved stuff that as children that they dealt with, and they even to the point where they allowed the domestic violence because they saw it or they lived it in their household. So it was just normal for them. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's true.
So do you all tend to see that a lot of your people who have that history, they came from a history of that?
For sure. It's repeated cycles. It's definitely repeated cycles. And like I was saying earlier, we as humans are creatures of habit and patterns, and we function in patterns. Oftentimes patterns are beneficial to us, but then there are some horrible patterns that we continue to perpetuate that are not good for us. And so that also happens in domestic violence cases where, whomever is the one that's the physically violent person or mentally, emotionally violent person, they're used to this cycle of abuse. They're used to, enjoying each other for, a season of it. And then, something happens, the trigger happens, and then the fighting happens and it gets big. And then there comes yet another quiet, calm down, and they're used to it. The persons who are in it sometimes are waiting for the cycle or the storm to pass, and they wait it out until it's calm again. And it's a cycle of abuse, and it's a pattern that unless we are aware, unless we have some a clearing in our mind, really honestly, I think that's what happens, is a clearing that happens on a good day where you can get out before that cycle takes back off. If you can get out at that time, then you generally can escape it and not re-enter it. But oftentimes we don't get out of it because there's some reasons why we're in it. That person speaks to some trauma that we have, some emotional needs that we have, some unresolved areas. I was involved in an abusive situation for about a year, and because ultimately I realized I was with that person because something about them felt fatherly, believe it or not. And I felt that they were taking care of me. Yeah, I took some of the bad stuff, but for the most part, it was good stuff. And that's some of the tricking of the mind. Is like you rationalize and justify the bad because the good is good, And so
I think a part of that, the tricking of the mind when you're dealing with the negative interaction pattern or a cycle, is your self-worth and your self-esteem.
Yeah.
Not knowing who you are. And so when you're dealing with couples like that, or even individuals, that's the first thing is, not blaming them for staying in a relationship like that, but doing some identity work. Like, who are you? Who are you before this relationship occurred? Who were you before you got into this relationship, and who do you want to be? What kind of relationship would you like to have? And deal with that self-esteem, deal with that self-worth, and build them up, identity wise, so that they'll know that when this happens again, or they see this again, oh, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
I'm going to pay attention to it this time, whereas last time I didn't.
Yep. Perfect.
What have y'all seen a lot of? I'm seeing a lot on social media. You see all kind of stuff on social media, but I'm seeing a lot of narcissistic behavior from males and females these days. But a lot of, because I'm called to women, I see a lot of it where the women are in those type of relationships. Have y'all seen or counsel couples like that?
Yeah, for sure.
I think we see it a lot, particularly now. It's a buzz term, narcissistic. And so I think a lot of people use that term even on people or relationships that are not narcissistic, but it's the popular term now. But yeah, that is going around a lot because, it's one thing for me to, for example, curse you out and then blame you, for making me so mad to curse you out,
right?
Which is probably what you see.
Yeah.
And, not that it's laughing matter or funny or anything like that, but that's I'm gaslighting you now, and so it happens on both parts, women and men, and a lot of that we can just trace it right back to unhealed trauma. And parents and gatekeepers being emotionally unavailable and not showing you affection and true love and understanding what love is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go back one more time to the negative
interaction.
The negative interaction. So how you have some people with like, but I'm not in an abusive relationship, but the mate speaks to them so harshly, emotionally and mentally, they are being abused. Is that also from some unresolved issues from childhood trauma, or because I'm seeing more and more of that coming my way as women are reaching out to me? What do you guys say?
Absolutely. It's for the one part where the person that is emotionally abusive and verbally abusive, that's trauma. That's learned behavior. And then for the person that takes it and doesn't realize that that's emotion, that's also trauma.
Absolutely.
Because they more than likely grew up in a household where that was okay. Verbal abuse was okay. Emotional abuse was okay. And so they say, okay, well then in my relationship, I'm going to allow a certain amount of emotional and verbal abuse, unconsciously, really, and not knowing that it's detrimental to that relationship and to that connection. And so, to speak to what this is about, emotional health, it's the individual work. And if you're not self-aware of what you're doing and how you affect people and how you talk to people and your tone and your mannerisms, your gestures and your posture, you're going to continue to do that thinking it's okay. And that's what got you to the place that you're in. And so, but you don't really recognize and see the bodies that you left after you killed them verbally, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Evangelist Terrence said spiritual training tonight at their church was building healthy relationships in the biblical way. She says the Lord wants us to be well in every area of our lives. Amen. That's true. That is every area.
And it's possible. It's possible. It's not something that is so far off that you can't achieve it or you can't obtain it. It is very possible, but we have to slow down slow down and take our time. Sometimes we're moving so fast, so rapidly, thinking we have to abide by societal expectations for when we're supposed to marry and when we're supposed to have children and when we're supposed to do all of these marked areas in our lives, when it's not necessarily one size does not fit all, and it's not a cookie cutter model for everyone. We really have to live according to what is best for our individual lives. And if not getting married or being in a relationship with someone is necessary and best for your life for the time and season that you're in, then by all means stay single. It's not necessary. It's best to be healed before entering into the relationship. Now, that doesn't mean you won't have issues, there won't be concerns, but the work that you can do on your individual self while you are not connected deeply to another person is invaluable. And that work begins to speak for itself and makes you even more attractive to bring in a mate or a person.
That's good. That's good. I missed another comment over here. The young lady said that she had a mixture of both the trauma bonding. No, she didn't say trauma bonding. It was the other two things we spoke of earlier. And she said she was working on those areas and avoiding because she didn't want people to be misunderstood or her feelings hurt. And then the anxious part, she said she would rather the person understand where she's coming from. So she was dealing with the avoiding part as well as the anxiousness that we discussed earlier. That was one of the comments.
Yeah.
And anything else? Okay.
Yeah.
And like y'all said, it is healthy. I think that people are so. Oh, I need a man, or oh, I need a woman. When me and my ex split up, I didn't talk to a man for 3 years. Okay, it was me and God. I was like,
Yeah.
God, I did that. I made that choice. But this time it's you and I. And when it's time for me to, because I knew I was a wife, I just knew I wasn't his wife. And so when I do this with the one you call for me, then it will be well.
Yeah.
And so my husband and I have been married for 2.5 years. He was my first love. I was his first love. And we got
Wow.
married 30 years later. He was my high school sweetheart. And so when
Wow.
you allow God to do it, yes, it's possible.
Yes.
It is
Yeah.
definitely possible.
And that's beautiful. It's the wait. And sometimes we can be impatient and get ahead of God. And it's unfortunate because we injure ourselves and others along the way when we're impatient.
Yeah.
So very true. So very true. And then a lot of times the children get the brunt of all of that too because they're in the crossfire
That is
of
right.
all the unhealthiness. You
That
know?
is right. That's right.
Yes. And you know, one of the things that I'm loving is that we're seeing more and more of brown and black people going to therapy, and because it's as my cousin says all the time, it's okay to have a therapist and
And Jesus.
and Jesus, yeah, and a pastor in Jesus, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because it used to be so taboo. Well, you know, if you're going to a therapist, something wrong. No, something's wrong if you're not going, and you know, if you know your toe hurting or it's swollen, you're gonna go see a doctor.
You
But
should.
if you feel like something's off, baby, go get seen. Let's go talk to somebody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But, you know, I mean, we can, you know, I can get on my soapbox about this because just the stigma, not only with mental health, but with just medical health, period, across the board for us as you know, Black people and other marginalized communities is just, you know, we didn't feel safe. We didn't feel that, you know, the doctors or the professionals had us the best interests at heart. And so now with, you know, everything that is going on in society and in culture, it is so necessary. And it's good to, you know, to be involved in a good, healthy church and, you know, ministering or just attending and developing your relationship with God. That is great. But there are certain things that, you know, professionals can do that can flesh out better. You know, the pastor, you know, is great to care for your soul, you know, to look after you, to be there when you're in a situation. But then there's some nuances and some deep things and work that a professional can come in, like a therapist can come in, and we can, really drill down to exactly get to the root of exactly what's going on.
And it's really about working together
Yeah.
because, it's a ministry. It really is. Ministry is serving others. And so it works together. Pastors can work with therapists. Therapists can work with pastors. And because there's always a blind side that everyone has. So whereas we might see one presentation of something, a pastor may see another presentation of something for the same individual. Why not have all of it? Why discuss or diminish what the benefit is that you can have by trying to pick and choose? Have it all. Why not have it all?
Absolutely. So do you all just see people in Georgia, or y'all licensed for other states?
No, we are licensed only in Georgia at this time. We are not yet that spread out yet, but we will be looking at licensing in other states here in the next year or so.
Okay. And how do they connect? How do they book well, before I ask that part, what about the single people that says, I hear what y'all saying and I need to do the work, and can y'all help me do the work? What would you say to that single person?
Yes, and yes, and yes.
Now, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, to the single people, that to take your time and not rush into it. It has to be a lot of, growth and maturity, but also identity work. Like I was talking about earlier about being self-aware, self-esteem, self-worth, and knowing who you are, what your purpose is, your overall purpose versus knowing what your assignments are for right now, understanding those things, understanding what you like and what you don't like, understanding what your boundaries are, what you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept. And a lot of people, just don't know that. They just want to jump into a relationship, which I can understand because I jumped into a lot of relationships before meeting, Keynia, and us getting married. But, when I look back, I realized how lost I was. I didn't know myself. I didn't know who I was. And I'm getting into a relationship with someone possibly they didn't know who they were. And so we were just headed to shipwreck. It didn't last. And, I think we find that out in a lot of relationships that don't last. And even in marriages as well. But when you take that time to do the work, and it will be beneficial, because when you find that mate, the person that God has for you, it'll be a beautiful thing. And that when there's a disagreement or argument, you're not ready to throw in the towel and call it quits because we don't see eye to eye. That's when, okay, all right, now we need to roll up our sleeves and we need to work. I need to find out more about you. You need to find out more about me. And that is so important that you don't give up.
Yeah, for sure.
I got a question in the comments, y'all. The question is, what's your take on therapy for long distance relationships? Is it worth it?
Therapy for a long distance relationship, meaning they're in a relationship long distance, and should they have therapy to support it?
Is that your question? I'll read it again to see if that helps. They said yes. That's
yes. I personally think therapy for any relationship is necessary. Being able to have an objective person sit with you and your potential mate or your potential spouse or your dating person with you on a frequent basis to be able to flesh out things that you may be so in la la land with this person about that you're missing certain things. It's like having a support group for your relationship. It helps to provide insight. It helps to explore things that you probably may not ask. You may not ask because there could also be a fear of losing this relationship if you find something out that you didn't really want to know. There are all kinds of reasons why people don't really want to take those deep dives and ask their mate about certain things, and just kind of go blindly hoping that it'll resolve itself. But it's best to have a premarital or a therapeutic alliance or relationship with someone to support your relationship, your budding relationship, because it's extra eyes, it's extra insight, it's extra support.
Yeah. And not only that, it's one thing to have a relationship when you're in the same city.
Yeah.
But then there's a whole nother level when you're in two different states.
Yeah, that's true.
And and you don't see each other every day.
Right.
You don't talk to may not even talk to each other every day.
That distance.
So it's really important that that there's a therapeutic relationship, there's a pastoral relationship where someone is speaking into your life, and at the same time saying the same thing. You're dealing with issues about parenting in the future, and you're dealing about finances, sex and intimacy, religion, the whole nine. There's so many different topics that people just say, oh, I love you and you love me, so that's all we need. And love is enough, but then there's nuances to it that you really have to dig into and really find out what's going on with your mate.
They got to have those uncomfortable conversations, and a lot of times, unless you've been in a therapy or a pre-marriage counseling or something, some questions I know when our pastor did, we were like, we never thought about a question like that. And one of our questions was like, if one of your children got sick as an adult, and would you all take them in, or would you put them in a facility? Who would even think to even go there, So it's conversations that someone like that can bring, and you wouldn't even begin to have thought something like that.
Yeah, because the therapist would have insight to be able to see that the answer to that question, however you respond, indicates certain things about your conditional love or unconditional love.
All right, that same person is asking, is it healthy to agree to disagree in a relationship?
Yeah, for sure. It is definitely healthy to agree to disagree, because what that is wisdom to be able to know right now is not the time for us to come and reach a joint conclusion about this. And maybe another time will allow us to have more light, to be able to understand each other enough to be able to come to a solution, to an agreement or a solution, or to just leave it in a agree to disagree state.
Right. Leave it in an agree to disagree state while you're processing, right? And then leave the door open so that you can come back together and talk about that same particular issue when you have had a chance to think about it, when you had a chance to process it, not just to leave it unopened or leave it open and swept under the rug for it to, come back again and fester again later on. But no, leave that on the table. Like, this is an unresolved issue that we have, but we're not going to figure this out tonight. So let's talk about it, in 24 hours. And then if you say we're going to talk about it in 24 hours, you need to be the person to initiate when 24 hours happen. Okay, remember we're going to talk about it. Let's discuss it.
They said thank you. Sophia said, praying that y'all get South Carolina license, because y'all services are needed here.
We can do coaching across the state lines, though.
They can do coaching, Sophia. So she said they can do coaching, girl. And I can speak from a place of being that person that did the long distance with my ex. And so a lot of times when you're not in that place with that person, and you only see each other like every so often, you're so excited to see each other that everything's just perfect as far as the friendship and the talking, this, that, and the other. But then, when you get in the same state and same space, you be like, who are you?
I don't even like you.
Yeah, it's like, when it's a long distance situation, like you said, Aleigha, you're so excited to see each other. But then when you're in the same place, you notice that he doesn't know how to push the toothpaste out of the tube, or he has the toilet paper the wrong way on the roll, or he leaves his socks by his bed or something like that. But when he goes to work, and you're like, okay, who raised you? And let me tell you what we need to, and so when you're in close proximity, then you see all of that.
Yeah, everything's highlighted.
Everything is highlighted, and you can see each other's, sides that you've never seen before. Yeah.
They said, while you're processing is good, not just forgetting. Absolutely. You got to go back and revisit that, because it could be one of those scabs that somebody pulled off at the wrong time. So let's come when it's a good time and we talk about this thing.
That's right. While you're processing, because that doesn't leave it off the hook. That don't leave the person who really don't want to talk about it off the hook. You still have to have accountability and come back to it, because it's an issue, evidently.
Right. And the important thing about processing is that everybody has their own time and level of processing. And the other person that is not processing and has receipts and is ready to go needs to develop some type of grace for the processor that takes a long time.
Yes.
Because it doesn't matter that you can compute 2 + 2 in your head real quick, and it takes me 2 minutes.
Right.
It's just, give me the grace that I need to do what I need to do.
Yeah.
And so that's when it becomes a more of a respect thing for each other. Like, I respect your time to process, and I respect your time to just come up with answers quickly like that. And so, yeah.
And I'm just thinking about you, because you are a slower processor than I am.
I'm talking about myself.
Yeah, I tend to see the thing, assess it quickly, and move, right? And he's a slow processor where he will see it. He gonna look at it. He gonna mull it over. He gonna sit back. He gonna go get something to drink. He gonna get some chips. And I'm like, do you not see this thing right here that needs to get addressed? And that's that anxious part of me, right? The anxiety saying that an answer is necessary right now. I need to know. We need to resolve this. We need to figure it out. And I'm still learning how to take it slow, because some things don't require anything to be moved that fast. And I'm not saying that an answer is not necessary, but you have to be aware of what's actually happening in the moment. It's my anxiety that's speaking more loudly than the timing right now.
So I'm not being avoidant.
Right.
I'm just taking my time.
Right.
And then the one thing that happens in that anxious, avoidant moment while you're processing, sometimes the person can be like, why did it take you so long to process? And you're holding up the mirror, and it may be a true statement, but you're holding up the mirror to them in an intense moment at the wrong time. And so deal with one thing, process one thing at a time before you go to the next.
Yeah.
Because then it gets, muddied together.
Yeah.
And you really are not attacking all of it, the issue. You're attacking each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it can look intentional. It can really look intentional, like he's dragging his feet on purpose. And it's not the reality. The reality is that he is processing, and his process is different.
All right, got another question, y'all. They're asking questions tonight. Okay. How do you unpack growing and evolving in marriages? And then the next part of that is, one may be fine with who they are, but the other wants growth, still loves and wants their marriage, just new dreams, new spiritual growth, just ready to evolve and grow even more. And the other person's like, I'm good.
Yeah, that's a great question.
That's a good question.
I definitely have something to share on the front end of that. I don't know if you do too, Dave, but when I hear things and hear questions, I'm always hearing what is underneath the question. And so my concern would be in regards to the person who wants to expedite this growth track. I would be concerned with what's driving you, what's making you feel like this is where it needs to be. Is it societal expectations? Is it nobody ever sat around and did nothing at my house, so everybody always had something to do and it was always on the go making advancements because that's what progress looked like, that's what success looked like? So are you being driven by the motor from your family of origin, or is this legitimate we should be advancing, or I would like to see us advancing. And if it is legitimate, I would like to see us advance, then you can't advance without the other person, because now we're going to grow a disparity between the two of us. If I get to running off because I'm so ready to run off and advance, and my partner is content, there is an evolution, there is a growth track that you both are on collectively. And who is the one that gets to decide what it looks like? It has to be the both of you. That's a conversation that has to get massaged over time. And you're not on a timeline where it has to get done in a certain amount of time. There's time for the evolution to happen on both ends.
Yeah, because we see that a lot as well. You know, one person is in a different place, another person is not. And for example, say I'm the person that I like things to stay the same. I don't want a whole bunch of change, you know, and it may be because, you know, when I was younger, I moved around a lot. And things, I went to so many different schools and I had so many different jobs, and I want to be settled in just one place. I don't want a whole bunch of changes. And that could be, like Keynia's saying, it could be something that goes back to your childhood, you know, and it could be something that you lived experiences and things that you've seen and that you've come accustomed to. You just want life to slow down. And so that's when a person can, you know, sit in the therapeutic space and kind of, you know, get to the root of what is exactly going on. Why don't you want to move forward? Life is ever evolving. We are ever evolving. There's so many transitions in life, with our children, with our marriage, with new jobs, new businesses, a whole, you know, bunch of different things that will cause you to evolve. And so to stay in one place, you know, you may question that. You may, you know, you may not understand, you know, why that person wants things to remain the same. So that's when you have to have those hard conversations and communicate. And it's not a 1 day, 1 hour conversation. It's a communication over time.
Yeah.
And as you continue to talk about it or talk to someone about it that can help you, a mediator, then that'll help you flesh out, you know, why you want to be stagnant and this person wants to keep on moving.
Yeah, because advancement is a benefit, and it's positive. However, not leaving each other in the process of it is most important, because, you know, to take it into the church realm, you know, there's many of pastors who have sacrificed their whole life for their ministry, and have left their children, have left their families, have left, you know, they've missed soccer games, they've missed all the things that they were given a ministry to do, and they've forsaken it for what they see as a bigger and better ministry. So we have to be careful to be able to keep it all in perspective. Like Terence said, keep the conversation going, because these are your goals. And ideally, you would have discussed your joint goal or your goals on the front end before you even get married and before you're even in a committed relationship. This is where I'm going. What's your purpose? What's they should be your purpose partner. So what's your purpose? And see if our purposes align, because we can get taken in different directions if they don't.
And that's great in a perfect world that you had that conversation beforehand. But so many couples have not.
Yeah.
And so it's important, you know, if one person is stagnant and one person wants to move and progress, it's okay. That's the difference. Now we need to understand, remember that the person that wants to progress is not the bad person.
Right.
And the person that wants to stay the same is not the bad person. Right. We just need to understand what is the meaning behind each person's, you know, stagnation or progression.
Yeah. Timing too. Yeah.
She said, "Thank you so much. These are some great responses." Now tell me this. Do you all accept insurance? How do they pay you guys? How do they connect with you guys? How do they book you?
You can, we take insurance. We also take self-pay. You can check us out at our website, www.atk marriageandfamilycoaching.com. You can check us out on our social media pages. We have ATK Marriage and Family Coaching We have Not Hardly Broken, that's KNOT, Hardly, HARDLEY, Broken, BROKEN, and our own individual social media pages,
Yeah.
Facebook and Instagram. You can private message us there as well.
Yes. And our office phone number is 678-609-8203. And we are on all the major insurance companies except for Kaiser.
Amen. Amen. All right. Evangelist Culture says, awesome information that you shared tonight. I think they just celebrated, was it 25 years? I know it was 20 something year anniversary as well. And they co-pastor together in North Carolina.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yes. And let's see here. Hey, cousin. That's my cousin in New Jersey saying she and her husband are watching and they are being blessed. So thank God for that. They come tuning in and listening and being blessed. And for those of you, if your spouse isn't watching, you can go back and rewatch it with them. And preferably, I'm building a YouTube channel. So y'all go over to YouTube and watch it together over there. And then when we finish, y'all subscribe, like, and then comment on what stood out to you, okay? And for those of you listening now, I want y'all to do that too.
Absolutely.
Any final words, y'all? Because I've kept almost an hour. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yes. We just want to say that we also do speaking engagements. So you can book us for speaking engagements. We facilitate workshops and retreats and conferences as well. And
we do men's groups and women's groups.
Yes.
Online and in person.
Yes. Tend to be 8-week sessions. I am in the 6th of the 8th session in an in-person women's group. Just finished a virtual. You just finished an in-person men's group. So
we got things coming up for not only marriages but also singles.
Yes.
So be on the lookout
for that.
Yeah, we're just trying to help people connect the dots.
Yes, and one other thing that we are also venturing into is marriage and family therapists. We are systems trained, meaning we can assess and treat systems that need to perform and work better, which is like corporate, school systems, nonprofits and things like that, where if you're having employee to employee disagreements and conflict, or leadership is having an issue with productivity, getting productivity from its employees and staff, then we can come in and kind of provide you with a package that will help to diagnose it and identify what the issues are and start a process to help resolve the issues.
Okay. Let me scroll through real quick, make sure I hadn't missed anybody's comments. I'm seeing a lot of couples saying very good information. Thank you. Yes, I think I got everybody, y'all. I just didn't want to miss someone's comment because everything's coming to me in one place, but it's coming in from LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube.
Wow. Okay.
So, but we appreciate you guys tonight. Thank y'all so very much. This has been so good. Such golden nuggets. Because emotional health is so helpful. Whether you're single or married.
Yes.
And as you're able to know who you are and your triggers and the underlining and undertones, then you'll know how to communicate with your mate because you know you now. And now you're learning them and he knows himself. And then you're growing together and walking together and not seeing each other as each other's enemy, right? Because we already know who the enemy is, and it's not each other.
If I can say one thing, Aleigha, is that thank you for having us.
Yes.
It was a pleasure for us as well. But one of the things I thought about is that we also tag team.
Oh yeah, that is huge. I don't know
because sometimes I can sit in front of a couple and I have my perspective clinically as well as spiritually, and things like that. And Keynia does the same, but then there's also a different dynamic when both of us are together in front of a couple, and it's a dynamic work.
Yes. So we call that tag team therapy.
I love that. I love the thought of that, being able to hear both sides with the couple right then and there. I love it.
Yes.
I absolutely love that.
Yes.
So y'all hear they do tag team therapy as well. So even though they're not licensed for other states, they can still coach you as a life coach in other states. So I love that too. So y'all heard them. They said they take major insurances. So they got y'all. They got y'all. But we appreciate y'all. Y'all go and look up the information. I put it in here. When we finish, if y'all could go over to my YouTube page, and I can kind of walk out through it when we come offline. You can put your contact information over there as well, so it will be there for those who are, going back and watching it.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well, thank you. Anything y'all want to? Any final words?
All hearts and minds clear?
We do have an upcoming book. It's called Love is Enough, Wired for Safety. It's due to come out, the workbook later this year, and the actual book is soon to release next year.
Okay. What was the name of it?
It's called Love is Enough, Wired for Safety.
All right. Love is Enough, Wired for Safety. Okay. And when is it coming out?
That one should be out this summer.
Okay.
The workbook should be, and that'll be mainly for groups like either therapist groups or even church groups who have marriage groups and things of that nature. Facilitate groups and things of that nature. So yeah, it'll be a book for them, a workbook for them that is going to walk them through 12 sessions of information and activities on how to work through growing together.
I like that. Y'all be on the lookout for that. Set your calendars, mark your calendars for you said summer, sometime this summer.
Sometime this
Love
summer.
is Enough, Wired for Safety. Yes. Again, we appreciate y'all. We thank y'all so much for sharing of your time and of your knowledge. It's been beautiful because you've helped some couples tonight with just answering questions, and you've helped individuals who are long distance and all this good stuff. And we don't know who's going to be listening to replays, but we're so grateful, and we look forward to having y'all back.
Thank you. We appreciate it so
that.
much.
Let us know.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, y'all. Y'all heard tonight. Awesome interview. If you missed any of it, go back and share it. Sow this into someone's life. It would only take time. It don't even cost you a dime to share it, right? But y'all do me a favor. Go and go over to our YouTube page, and it's under Aleigha the Purpose Midwife. Subscribe, like, and share something that stood out to you. Share something that spoke to you once we come offline, and that'll also help others be able to navigate and find the page, because so many people need this. I mean, the part of self-identity and understanding your identity by itself, the emotional identity is huge, because there are so many mistakes that you would not make, because there's a lot of stuff that you would not allow when you understand healthy boundaries, right? So again, I am Aleigha Tate, the Purpose Midwife. I will see y'all this time, same place next week, right here on Friday Inspire. Y'all have an awesome week. Love you guys.